So, welcome to another week of It Wobble that has really grown. I've gotten several messages. We're actually getting a lot of comments. They really love the It Wobble predictions and all the insight we're getting. So, thanks very much, guys. But welcome to the world of welcome to Inside the World of Box Lacrosse, or It Wobble as it is now lovingly known.
Nice. Hello, lacrosse friends. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us again. As usual, we're going to have a few segments. I am Steven Stamp. He is Adam Levy. And we're going to start, Adam, with a look back at the game that we previewed last week, which was Colorado at San Diego. And were you surprised? You picked Colorado to win, right?
I did, yeah. Colorado, as I very lovingly expressed on the show, Saskatchewan and Colorado were my two darlings so far in the early parts of the season. For San Diego, I have to say, really impressed by the defense. The 11 goals, I think, is a little bit misleading because the goals that Colorado had to score, a lot of them were very difficult, gritty goals, some highlight reel plays. And I was looking at, kind of that middle chunk of the game, Christopher Origlieri. It was about a 48-minute period, halfway through the first, towards the middle half of the fourth there, where he only allowed 7 goals in that main span, let in those 2 late and let in a couple early. But other than that, he looked really solid. We're really seeing the benefit of having a healthy Eli Gobrecht and Danny Logan, who both missed half of the season last year, having them in there with a young and energetic Trent Chico, Zach Currier being the best two-way player, it seems. So it was great to see San Diego like that, even though my pick was wrong. But what were your thoughts, Stanford?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see the score and you think 14-11, that's fairly close. They get the late empty net goal, but it really wasn't that close, was it? I mean, it was 3-3 after the first quarter and took a slightly miraculous length of the floor empty netter by Danny Logan to tie it up for San Diego. But the shots on goal were 18-10. It definitely felt like a San Diego period. Then the second quarter, San Diego outshoots Colorado 14-5 in terms of shots on goal, while they outscored them 7-2. It was kind of over at that point. Colorado never really got back into it, right? It's just at the end, Will Malcolm scores a couple of goals in the final 5 minutes. They're back within 2 goals. They have a minute 55 to work with. And obviously, as we found out the following evening, that is eminently doable. If you have a Dane Doby, or if you have in Colorado's case, I mean, a Will Malcolm or an Eli McLaughlin, Brian Lee. There's so many, Ed Williams, so many options, but it just really didn't feel like Colorado was in that one as much, and it happens, right? I mean, we talked last week, but nobody's going 18-0. I agree. Currier was fantastic, and he was playing a lot of forward, as he has been. Started that in training camp. It's been going pretty regularly. He still had a very Zach Currier scoring line. Yes. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. Sure, he had 3 caused turnovers, 12 loose balls as a forward. For the most part, it was awesome. I think it was very impressive.
Yeah, and you talk about the spreading of the offense. Obviously, Colorado has shown that, but if you look at the scoreline in this game, we've been seeing so much of the guys like Rob Hellier, Ryan Benesh having some great games, Ben McIntosh. But in this game, you had Danny Logan scoring a couple, Kyle Jackson, as you mentioned, getting a hat trick. So you've got these other options now that are also contributing. And so if that can continue to show their versatility, I mean, that really shows that they can be really dangerous.
And Westberg is one of the best players in the game. And, their captain, he had been a little quiet, I guess, by his standards in the first couple of games, still playing, the way that Westberg plays. But he had 6 points in this one. And, he is just such a critical part of that. They get everybody clicking, and that defense working the way it has. I really like some of the additions. I mean, I know Zach Deacon just went on the injured list or the pup list, but I like some of the additions they've made in the defensive zone. They look very solid. What else from the weekend stood out for you, Adam? Anything in particular?
Well, it's hard not to mention the incredible performance by Dane Doby, but I think as I tweeted out, it gets, unfortunately, because Dane Dobie's performance was so heroic, the Zach Mann's performance got overshadowed. I mean, the guy ended up with a sock trick of his own and basically did exactly what Dobie did in that important game. So, Zach Mann's now with 10 goals on the season. I believe it was Cooper Perkins of our IL Indoor last year who had said that Mans was going to be one of those breakout players last year. Well, it seems like now this year he's really stepped it up, and so it's great to see what they're doing. And Saskatchewan just seems to have a knack for winning close games, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, Mans did kind of break out last year, but maybe he's a breakout on top of a breakout, as we see. Ryan Lee had a stretch like that, right, where he went from very quiet first couple of years, then he had about 70 some points, and then cracking 100. I think it was 116. He had his next season, and then he had the injury troubles, but we've seen how good he can be as well. Anything else from the past weekend that we want to touch on before we move on to predictions for next week and some other items for the week?
Yeah, well, I do just want to say that since I was in Philadelphia this past week, and I know we're going to be addressing that game coming up against the Desert Dogs in Las Vegas for our preview, but it was really cool to be in Philadelphia for that game, for their celebration of the Decade of Dominance, which is actually my Beyond the Box story for IL Indoor this week. Really cool to meet those guys who were so successful in the 90s, Dallas Elliott, Chris Bates. Obviously, Scott Gabrielson's been there for a while doing broadcasting, but to chat with him and some of the other guys, Tony Resch, it was really cool to be a part of that and see the fans who were in attendance really excited to have them there. So just wanted to note that was a really cool event because what the Wings did in the 90s was so special.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite a team, right? Obviously, they're looking to get back to that, and it's neat to see the tie-in. Was it you that tweeted the picture of the lineup to get in a chat and a photo with Dallas Elliott?
That was me. Yeah. I walked out. I had been taking some fan photos around, and then it was halftime, and I was like, oh, I see this line developing. What's going on? And I know that the Wings were really, trying to give Dallas the spotlight that he deserves for that city, everything that he did in between the pipes for them. And yeah, that lineup really shows you how much fans still love him, and we're excited to see him. I remember he had actually told me, I think this is in the article, that he hadn't been to Philadelphia in over 10 years. So an emotional return home for him, his home away from home.
And if I know your name, you must be an incredible player historically, and I know that name. So I mean, that's just, I've only been following it for a few years here, and I don't know a lot of the history, but that Elliott is one of those names that, like, when I first got in, everybody was like, I'd say something about a good goalie, and they're like, yeah, but have you ever watched this guy? So I started watching the videos, and a true legend of the sport, like you said. It's cool that they did it. I was looking for the story; it's not out yet, so we have to wait on that one.
Yeah, we'll share that with you shortly. It's coming soon.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, usually I'm pretty up to date with it. I didn't see that one. So, all right, thanks, guys, and I'll let you kind of wrap up here.
Yeah, we are. We do have coming up in the awards watch, we're going to look at early Defender of the Year contenders. And as Adam alluded to earlier, we will preview Philadelphia heading out to Vegas for the back-to-back this week. He's Adam Levy. I'm Steven Stamp, and this is It Wobble, or Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you shortly.